Today I'm going to show you how to make olive tapenade straight from the south of France using nature sweet tomatoes. So let's get started. The first ingredient is our tomatoes. And today I'm using a product from Nature Sweet. It's called their Glorious tomatoes. And although these tomatoes are delicious and ripe and ready to use, we actually want to concentrate the flavor in these, concentrate the sweetness and concentrate the acidity. So to do that, we're going to dry them out on this cooling rack in the oven. I've cut the tomatoes in half, and now I'm tossing them together with the olive oil, salt, and pepper. And the reason for cutting them in half is so that they dry out evenly in the oven. The olive oil helps stop them from sticking to the cooling sheet as they bake and dry in the oven. So that's the first step. The second step is to put these into the oven about 250 degrees for 2 to 2.5 hours until the tomatoes are about a third of their size. By that time, they'll be nice and concentrated. Now, I've made some of these in advance, so this is what they look like after 2.5 hours in the oven. So the tomatoes have gone a little bit darker in color. The color is concentrated a little bit. They've gone from that bright red to more sort of a deep golden red. But more importantly, what's happened is we've got a concentration of the flavor. And it's that concentration of flavor that we're looking for to make this tapenade truly spectacular. So tapenade is typically a spread that is put on crackers or on toast. We could do this in the food processor, but I'm going to show you how to do it by hand. I'd like the texture of it when it's cut by hand. So the first thing is we'll start with the olives. So some green olives and some black olives, and we'll chop those together as the base for this tapenade. Now, if you only had one color olives, that would be totally fine as well. I'll chop them up, and we want to get it fairly fine. And another advantage of doing this by hand is if there is still a stone in one of the olives, it'll become apparent quite quickly. If you've ever tried to do this in a food processor, once the olives are halfway pureed and you hear that little stone flying around inside the food processor, it's fairly difficult to find it and fish it out. So this is another benefit to chopping this by hand. And I'm going to process these with my knife until it's fairly fine. Now, there are other ingredients that are going to go in here, but the olives, as you chop the olives, sometimes the black olives tend to bleed their color a little bit. And for that reason, and that reason only, I'll do this tapenade in 2 steps. First is chopping the olives together, and then we'll chop the other ingredients together, and then we can mix everything up. So for the herbs, like I said, we have the Italian parsley. Now we've removed the stems. We just have the leaves here. Same for oregano. So approximately half as much oregano, because oregano is stronger in flavor. And then some fresh thyme that we've also removed from its stems. We'll combine those ingredients with some garlic. Here we have the garlic's already pre-chopped a little bit. Capers, some nice anchovies, and a little bit of lemon zest. I'm only going to put about half of this in to start with because it is a very strong seasoning ingredient. So just like the olives, we'll go ahead and we'll chop this by hand. And obviously, if this seems like a lot of chopping to you, you can go ahead and use the food processor. But even if you do use a food processor, I would suggest doing it in 2 steps. Doing the olives first, and then adding the flavoring ingredients, these ingredients that I'm chopping right now, in a secondary step. With the olives. And then one final ingredient will be our tomatoes. And for this recipe, we'll use about a cup of tomatoes. Those are the Glory tomatoes that have been oven dried and are now room temperature. Beautifully concentrated in flavor, nice and shiny from the concentrated juice and the olive oil, looking just delicious. So together with the dry ingredients here in the bowl, we'll add a little bit of lemon juice and a little bit of olive oil. Now don't forget, we already have lemon zest in there, so won't require much lemon juice. And about a tablespoon of good quality extra virgin olive oil will help bring out that olive flavor. A pinch of salt. Don't forget there's already anchovies in there, so not too much salt. And a little bit of pepper. We'll combine that all. And it should hold together like that. If it's not holding together, you can chop it finer, or you can add a little bit more olive oil. Again, it's supposed to be a little bit of a spread or a paste. The way this would be served is to be spread onto a piece of toast. Think of it almost like a relish, and maybe it could be served with a little bit of cheese. I have a little bit of cheddar cheese here, which would be nice to serve it with. Make a nice little sort of canapé or hors d'oeuvre. But if you were going to serve this to a group, scooping some of this into a nice serving dish. It's beautiful. I love the colors in this. Color and texture is just awesome. That's our olive tapenade with the oven roast Nature Sweet Glorious tomatoes. Delicious, a great appetizer, simple to make. I hope you enjoy it.